Hey Kings of Dragons, Dragon King 551, and today we're going to do the final review for the 12-team playoff for college football. The thing here is that next year it may move to 14 teams or 16 in the near future. With that being said, I got some notes here that I want to read off my phone, and then we'll talk about everything that went on in each round and talk about how the product needs to be on the field a little bit better. So with that being said, the first thing I'm going to say is that this is from Twitter. So there will be an in-depth discussions about not guaranteeing conference champs top 4 college football playoff seeds in 2025. Sources said that the top 5 conference champs still get in, but rankings determine seeds. How this year's playoff would have looked in that format. So we're saying that the Power 5 still get in. They can win their conference just like Michigan did last year and stuff. But the reason Michigan got the 1 and Washington got the 2 is because they look like the complete package all season and stuff. And that's where they deserve to be ranked 1 and deserve to be the seeded 1. But my problem here is that you can't award Oregon the 1 seed, and maybe the teams that Oregon was playing, those teams should have been Boise State and SMU. The other thing here is that you should have reseeded the teams from the first round and said that Texas and Oregon should have been playing each other since they played a close game and stuff. Ohio State should have been playing Arizona State and stuff. And then Notre Dame maybe should have played Boise, and Penn State should have played Georgia. You can make those games interchangeable. Then we go into the bye week. Here's what I want to talk about the bye week. The bye week hurts teams and steals momentum. I've always said that, but I guess it didn't really for Michigan. Personally, the game should have gone and played like this. So you play the 20th to the 21st, and then you get a 4-day rest, which I think is enough time. Then you play on the 26th and the 27th, which is right after Christmas. Give them another 4-day rest again, and then play the semifinal on New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. And then you play the national championship another 5-6 days later after that. And that's where you give them all of that attributes and everything and talk about how the break should only be 4 days in between. I do also think that there are some outlier games. So let's talk about round 1 and talk about why the teams are the way it is. Furthermore, I do not think that Miami should have been thrown out. I do think, and I don't want to be biased to OSU, I just don't think that they deserve to be in after losing to Michigan and then losing to Oregon and stuff, and in those close environmental games and stuff, and losing by 1 or 3 points and stuff, where where Miami didn't lose so badly, but Miami still should have been in and everything at 10-2. So I don't really know where you go from there. So round 1, let's talk about it. So you got Penn State versus SMU. That's a 38-10 blowout. You got Texas versus Clemson, which is the outlier game, which is 38-24. Then you got OSU versus Tennessee, which is 42-17. Then you got Notre Dame versus Indiana, which is 27-17. No, that's not an outlier game because Indiana scored 2 garbage touchdowns late in the game with 1:25 left and 25 seconds left. That doesn't count in my retrospect to make the game close of a 10-point margin. Now look, we can use this 12 team. If we're to add 4 more teams, we can use it as a Sweet 16 type aspect and stuff, but the margin of victory and losing I thought was going to be closer because everyone wants this. They all want to go to the national championship. I thought it would be closer and not a lot of blowouts. I also think that, while March Madness does have blowouts, while they do have blowouts in the first round, they also have upsets. You got to watch out for the 11 seeds and the 15 upsetting the 2 and the 16 upsetting the 1 and the 11 upsetting the 6 and so forth and so on. But I think that the margin of victory should have been closer and stuff, maybe a touchdown or 10 points or something along the lines of that. And I don't mean winning by 2 garbage or winning after they scored 2 garbage touchdowns at the end of the game and stuff. Round 2, once again, we go into Penn State versus Boise State, which Penn State destroys them 31-14, which at the end of the day, you should really be asking who should have been playing that game. Then you go to Texas versus Arizona, and that's an overtime game, 39-31, and a spectacular game. Pardon me, stumbled over my words a little bit there. A spectacular game. And then you go into OSU versus Oregon 41-21 and Notre Dame versus UGA 23-10. So, I mean, again, blowouts. Yes, losing by 13 and 17 is a blowout in college. You can overcome it. But for basketball, if we're talking about basketball, it's a bigger blowout type atmosphere because you can only get 3 points or 2 points or 1 point at the line, where 7 and 3 is your saving grace in college football and stuff in the football environment. But at the same time, you're going into an outlier game. And then you go into the final outlier into the semifinals, which is 27-24, and then Texas versus OSU, which is 28-14. Yes, that it could have been 21-21 going into overtime, but you have to look at it from a standpoint and put yourself at a higher level and ask yourself, how are you going to change the college football playoff? First, I don't think that you should be doing that, awarding the conference champs and giving them the high seeds because the 4 high seeds went packing in the first round and all the low seeds were playing in the game. Furthermore, I also think that maybe you shouldn't give them a bye week and allow those teams to play, or make the bye week shorter and give them only a 4-day rest, and then they play again, and let's see how that turns out. I also think that reseeding would possibly be better for a better scenario. Reseeding is the way I would change this. My review of this is reevaluate, watch it back, see who actually wins the national championship. If it's the Big Ten, fine. But I'm going to tell you right now, if OSU wants to rub it in my face, they can go right ahead. I rubbed it in their face last year. But at the end of the day, it's no sweat off my back because you didn't go undefeated and you didn't beat Michigan. So at the end of the day, I'm not going to be too bitter if you win the national championship because we still own your ass. But at the end of the day, I mean, you gotta look at this and determine what you would change. I think reseeding is probably one of the best things to do, is to put those teams in and see how they played the first round and then determine who gets to get reseeded. Now, the 1, 2, 3, and 4 can stay the same way, but the teams that are playing in the next round that are the 8, hypothetically the 8, the 5, and or the 12 or whatever it is, reseed those teams and say, okay, those 4 teams are now going to be reseeded the way they are, and now they're playing here and they're playing there and stuff. But I don't got any more thoughts about it. I think that I give this average. I give it a C+. I don't think it was B tier. I don't think it was A tier. And I don't think it was super tier because there were only 3 good games, which were Clemson in the first round that held their own until they iced the game with a running touchdown and said goodnight to Clemson. And then you go into the second round, and ASU almost had Texas on the ropes, and it would have been an exciting game against Ohio State, I think, personally. I also think that the game would have been really exciting, and it would have been fun to see. But at the end of the day, we got what we got, and now we got to look at it and see where we're going. And then you look at the last outlier in the semifinal, which is Penn State and Notre Dame, just because Penn State made a stupid mistake throwing the ball when they should have just taken a knee and went to go win it in overtime. But that's all I got for you guys. So until next time, don't forget to stay radical. I'll see you in the next one. Hit that like button, smash that subscribe button, and let me know your thoughts on the 12-team college football playoff.